Your voice is power, and every time you shrink it, soften it, or silence it, you give that power away. The world does not respond to hesitation. It responds to certainty. It does not follow whispers of doubt. It follows clarity, conviction, and courage. And if you struggle to speak confidently, it's not because you're incapable. It's because you've trained yourself to hold back. Confidence is not volume. It's not arrogance. It's not pretending to be someone you're not. Confidence is alignment. It's when your words match your beliefs. It's when your posture matches your purpose. It's when your voice carries intention instead of insecurity. Most people don't lack intelligence. They lack courage. They know what they want to say, but fear stops them. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of sounding foolish. So they hesitate, they overthink, they apologize for their own opinions, and slowly they teach the world to overlook them. But here's the truth. If you don't value your voice, no one else will. Your voice is your power, whether you realize it or not. The moment you speak, you reveal how you see yourself. Your tone, your pace, your posture, your eye contact, all of it communicates belief or doubt before your message is even understood. People do not only hear words, they interpret confidence. If your voice trembles with hesitation, your ideas lose strength. If your delivery carries certainty, your presence expands. Power is not about shouting, it is about alignment between thought and expression. When you hold back your voice, you shrink your influence. You may have intelligent ideas, strong opinions, or valuable insights, but if they remain unspoken, they have no impact. Silence protects you from temporary discomfort, but it also protects you from growth. Every time you choose not to speak, you reinforce fear. Every time you step forward and express yourself, you strengthen identity. Influence begins with participation. Participation begins with courage to be heard. Many people confuse confidence with arrogance. True vocal power is not about dominating conversations or speaking over others. It is about clarity and composure. It is about speaking in a way that signals self-respect. When you respect your own thoughts, your delivery naturally changes. You stop rushing, you stop apologizing unnecessarily. You stop adding softeners that weaken your message. Calm conviction carries more authority than loud insecurity ever could. Your internal dialogue shapes your external voice. If you constantly question your worth, that doubt appears in your speech. If you believe your perspective matters, your tone reflects that belief. Before you work on communication techniques, you must work on self-perception. Confidence in speech is built on confidence in identity. When you strengthen how you see yourself, your voice becomes steadier, stronger, and more controlled in moments that once felt intimidating. Body language amplifies vocal power. Stand upright, keep your shoulders back, maintain steady breathing. Physical posture affects mental state. When your body collapses inward, your voice often follows. When you stand tall, your breathing deepens and your tone stabilizes. These small physical adjustments send signals to your brain that you are in control. Control reduces anxiety. Reduced anxiety strengthens clarity and projection in communication. Pauses are powerful tools. Weak speakers rush through sentences to escape attention. Strong speakers embrace silence. A pause allows your words to land. It demonstrates that you are not afraid of the room. Silence creates anticipation. It signals thoughtfulness and authority. When you learn to pause intentionally, your communication becomes more deliberate. Deliberate speech builds credibility. Credibility strengthens influence over time. Practice is essential for vocal strength. Confidence does not appear suddenly during high-pressure moments. It is built during repetition in private settings. Record yourself speaking. Read aloud daily. Practice delivering your thoughts clearly without filler words. Exposure reduces fear. Familiarity reduces hesitation. The more you hear your own voice used with intention, the more natural, confident communication becomes in public environments. Your voice has the ability to shape outcomes, open opportunities, and command respect. It can establish boundaries, inspire action, and express leadership. But none of that happens if you continue minimizing it. Power in communication comes from ownership. Own your words. Own your tone. Own your space in conversations. When you treat your voice as valuable, others begin to treat it the same way, through consistent, assertive, deliberate expression of thought and belief. Confidence is built, not born. No one enters this world speaking with authority, commanding rooms, or influencing minds. Every confident communicator you admire once struggled with doubt, hesitation, and fear. The difference is not talent. The difference is repetition. They chose to step into discomfort instead of retreating from it. They practiced when it felt awkward. They spoke when their voice shook. Over time, that repetition transformed uncertainty into strength. Confidence is not a personality trait reserved for a few. It is a skill developed through deliberate effort. The first time you speak up in a room full of people, your heart may race, your palms may sweat, your thoughts may feel scattered. That reaction is natural. It does not mean you are incapable. It means you are untrained. Just as muscles grow under resistance, confidence grows under pressure. If you avoid the pressure, you avoid the growth. Each uncomfortable moment is an opportunity to strengthen your composure and expand your capacity. Most people wait to feel confident before taking action. That is backward. Confidence is the result of action, not the requirement for it. When you speak despite fear, you gather evidence that you survived. That evidence weakens anxiety the next time. With repetition, fear loses its intensity. The body learns that public speaking, assertive communication, and leadership are not threats, but challenges that can be handled. Exposure builds resilience. Resilience builds stability. Mistakes are part of the construction process. You will stumble over words. You may forget a point. You may feel embarrassed after certain interactions. Those moments are not proof of weakness. They are training sessions. Each mistake highlights an area to refine. Instead of retreating after imperfection, reflect and adjust. Growth requires analysis, not avoidance. When you treat every speaking experience as practice, improvement becomes inevitable. Preparation accelerates confidence. Knowing your material, organizing your thoughts, and rehearsing key points reduce uncertainty. When you are prepared, your mind has less room for doubt. Structure supports delivery, clarity supports tone. The more familiar you are with your message, the more energy you can focus on how you deliver it. Preparation transforms anxiety into readiness and turns hesitation into direction. Breathing control also plays a critical role in building confidence. Shallow breathing increases tension and speeds up speech. Deep, controlled breathing stabilizes your nervous system. When you slow your breath, you slow your mind. A calm mind produces steady words. Steady words project authority. Practicing controlled breathing before speaking engagements trains your body to remain composed, even when adrenaline rises. Confidence compounds over time. One successful conversation makes the next one easier. One strong presentation builds belief for the next challenge. Progress may feel slow at first, but consistency creates momentum. As you accumulate experiences, your identity begins to shift. You no longer see yourself as someone who struggles to speak. You begin to see yourself as someone capable of handling pressure. Identity transformation strengthens long-term confidence. You do not need to be naturally outgoing to build vocal strength. You do not need perfect grammar or a flawless voice. You need commitment to growth. Speak regularly, seek opportunities, volunteer for responsibility. Put yourself in situations that stretch you. Every repetition builds neural pathways that support steadiness and clarity. Over time, what once felt intimidating becomes familiar through disciplined, repeated exposure to discomfort and consistent, deliberate practice in communication situations. Every time you begin a sentence with unnecessary doubt, you lower the value of what you are about to say. Words like sorry, just, maybe, and I'm not sure but quietly weaken your authority. You may think you are being polite, but you are often signaling uncertainty. Communication is not only about content, it is about confidence in delivery. When you constantly soften your statements, people subconsciously question your conviction before they even evaluate your idea. You do not need permission to have an opinion. You do not need approval to contribute to a conversation. When you enter a room, you belong there as much as anyone else. Yet many people shrink themselves in professional meetings, social gatherings, and leadership spaces because they fear being judged. That fear leads to hesitation. Hesitation leads to invisibility. If you consistently make yourself small, others will learn to overlook you. Politeness and weakness are not the same thing. You can be respectful without diminishing yourself. Confidence does not require aggression. It requires clarity. Instead of saying, sorry, this might be wrong, say, here is my perspective. Instead of saying, I just think, say, I believe. These subtle adjustments change how your message is received. Language shapes perception, perception shapes influence. Small verbal shifts create noticeable differences in authority. Apologizing for things that do not require apology trains your brain to assume fault. Over time, this pattern lowers self-esteem. If you apologize for asking questions, sharing ideas, or setting boundaries, You reinforce the belief that your presence is inconvenient. That belief leaks into tone and posture. Stand by your words, speak clearly. Only apologize when you have genuinely made an error, not for existing or participating. People respect those who respect themselves. When you communicate with steadiness and composure, you signal that your thoughts have value. Confidence invites attention. Doubt invites dismissal. This does not mean you must always be right. It means you must present your ideas with assurance. Others can disagree, but they will be more likely to listen when your delivery reflects self-belief instead of hesitation. Body language reinforces verbal strength. Avoid shrinking gestures, keep your head up, maintain eye contact. Ground your stance. When your physical posture is strong, your verbal posture follows. Slouched shoulders and downward gaze communicate insecurity. Upright posture communicates confidence. These physical cues affect how others perceive you and how you perceive yourself. Your body and voice must align to project certainty. Silencing yourself to avoid discomfort prevents growth. The moments that feel intimidating are often the ones that shape confidence. Speak even when it feels risky. Express your opinion even when others hold different views. The act of contributing strengthens identity. Each time you resist the urge to apologize for your presence, you reinforce self-worth and build internal stability. You deserve to occupy space without shrink. Your ideas deserve to be expressed without unnecessary disclaimers. Remove weak language from your vocabulary. Replace hesitation with clarity. Replace apology with assertion. Over time, these consistent adjustments transform not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. Building a stronger foundation of communication rooted in confidence, respect, and deliberate self-assured expression. Slow down and control the room. The way you speak determines how you are perceived before your message is even understood. Nervous speakers rush through sentences, afraid of silence, eager to escape attention. Leaders do the opposite. They pace themselves. They allow pauses. They speak with intention. Speed often signals insecurity, while calm delivery signals authority. When you slow your speech, you demonstrate control over your thoughts and emotions. That control commands respect naturally. Rushing your words usually comes from fear of being judged, fear of forgetting what you want to say, fear of awkward silence. But silence is not your enemy. Silence is power. When you pause after a strong statement, you give your audience time to absorb it. You show that you are not desperate for approval. You are comfortable holding attention. That comfort shifts the dynamic in your favor. Breathing plays a major role in pacing. Shallow, rapid breaths cause fast, unstable speech. Deep, steady breaths calm your nervous system. Before you speak, inhale slowly. Let your body settle. When your breathing is controlled, your voice becomes steadier. A steady voice carries authority. Authority builds influence. Something as simple as managing your breath can transform how your words are received. Eye contact also reinforces control. When you avoid eye contact, you appear uncertain. When you maintain steady, natural eye contact, you project confidence. It tells others that you belie. In what you are saying. It shows that you are present. Combined with measured pacing, eye contact strengthens your connection with the room. Connection increases impact. Volume matters as well. Speaking too softly forces people to strain to hear you, which weakens your presence. Speaking too loudly can feel forced. The goal is balanced projection. Clear articulation, strong tone, and moderate volume ensure your message reaches the room without aggression. Controlled volume communicates composure. Composure commands attention. Practice deliberate pauses. After making a key point, stop for a moment. Let the words settle. Resist the urge to fill every second with sound. Silence builds anticipation. It gives weight to your message. Strong communicators understand that not every gap needs to be filled. Sometimes the pause is more powerful than additional explanation. Body posture supports vocal control. Stand grounded. Keep your shoulders relaxed but upright. Avoid unnecessary fidgeting. When your body is steady, your voice follows. Movement should be intentional, not restless. Controlled gestures emphasize key points and reinforce your authority without distraction. When you slow down, breathe deeply, maintain eye contact, and embrace silence, you shift from reactive communication to intentional communication. You stop speaking out of nervous energy and start speaking from centered strength. Over time, this habit transforms how people respond to you, strengthening your presence and allowing you to guide conversations with calm, deliberate control and unwavering, steady influence. Eliminate weak language from your speech if you want to command respect. Words shape perception, and the phrases you choose determine how seriously people take you. When you fill your sentences with maybe, kind of, I guess, or just. You dilute your message. These words signal uncertainty even when your idea is strong. Strong communicators speak with clarity and precision. They remove unnecessary fillers and replace them with direct statements that reflect confidence. Filler words often appear when you are nervous or unprepared. Words like like, and you know creep into speech when your mind is racing ahead of your mouth. These habits weaken authority, they interrupt flow, and reduce impact. To eliminate them, you must first become aware of them. Record yourself speaking. Listen carefully. Notice patterns. Awareness is the first step toward correction. Correction builds improvement. Strong language is concise. It avoids over-explaining or softening statements unnecessarily. Instead of saying, "I just wanted to say that maybe we could try," say, "Let's try this approach." Notice the difference. One version hesitates, the other leads. Direct language shows decisiveness. Decisiveness signals leadership. People respond to clarity because it reduces confusion and builds trust. Confidence also requires owning your statements. Avoid hiding behind vague expressions. Replace "I think we should" with "we should." Replace "I might be wrong" with "here's my perspective." These subtle shifts communicate assurance. They show that you stand behind your words. Even if others disagree, your firmness will earn attention and respect. Weak language often stems from fear of offending others. But clear communication does not require aggression. It requires structure. You can be respectful and direct simultaneously. Instead of apologizing for your viewpoint, present it calmly. Let your tone remain steady. Confidence does not need volume or confrontation. It needs certainty. When you intentionally choose clear, direct phrases in conversations, meetings, and presentations, it becomes natural. Over time, you will notice your speech becoming sharper and more impactful. People will interrupt you less. They will listen more attentively. They will treat your contributions as valuable. Your internal mindset influences your vocabulary. If you doubt yourself, your language will reflect hesitation. Strengthen your self-belief, and your speech will naturally become more assertive. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. Remove one weak phrase at a time. Replace it with clarity. When you eliminate weak language, your communication transforms. Your presence feels stronger. Your message lands with greater weight. Words become tools of influence instead of expressions of insecurity. Over time, consistent use of clear and deliberate language reshapes how others perceive you, reinforcing your authority and strengthening your overall communication effectiveness through disciplined, intentional speech habits. Speak even when your voice shakes. The shaking does not mean you are weak. It means you are stepping outside your comfort zone. Growth never happens inside comfort. The first time you raise your hand in a meeting, your heart may pound. The first time you challenge an opinion, your breath may tighten. That reaction is not a signal to retreat. It is proof that you are stretching. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in spite of it. Fear loses power through exposure. Every time you avoid speaking, you strengthen anxiety. You confirm the belief that silence is safer. But when you speak despite trembling, you teach your mind a different lesson. You show yourself that discomfort does not equal danger. With repetition, your nervous system adapts. The shaking reduces. The hesitation shortens. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable through repeated, deliberate action. Waiting to feel ready keeps you stuck. Confident. Hence rarely arrives before the moment. It arrives because of the moment. You step forward uncertain, and only afterward do you realize you survived. That realization builds belief. Belief builds stability. Stability builds confidence. The process is sequential. Speak first. Grow afterward. Every courageous action becomes evidence that you are capable of more than your fear suggested. Your voice shaking does not erase your value. People are less focused on your nerves than you think. Most individuals are too concerned with their own thoughts to analyze every detail of your delivery. What they notice more is authenticity. When you speak honestly, even imperfectly, you create connection. Authentic expression resonates more than polished silence. Vulnerability can strengthen presence rather than weaken it. Preparation helps, but courage is still required. You can rehearse lines, organize ideas, and practice tone, yet the real test occurs when you step into the room. In that moment, you choose whether fear controls you or you move forward anyway. The decision to speak despite internal resistance is the turning point. That decision reshapes identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who avoids pressure and start seeing yourself as someone who confronts it. Each time you overcome hesitation, your mental resilience strengthens. Resilience carries into other areas of life. Speaking up builds assertiveness. Assertiveness builds leadership. Leadership builds influence. The skill of confronting fear in communication spreads into decisions, opportunities, and relationships. What begins as a small act of courage and conversation can evolve into broader personal growth. Accept that discomfort will always accompany growth. Even experienced speakers feel nervous before important moments. The difference is they do not interpret nervousness as a signal to stop. They interpret it as energy. You can reframe your shaking voice as proof that you care. That care fuels effort. Effort fuels improvement. Improvement builds confidence. Your progress depends on repeated courageous choices. Speak when it would be easier to stay silent. Share your opinion when doubt appears. Ask the question others avoid. Every time you choose action over avoidance, you weaken fear's grip and strengthen your identity as someone capable of stepping forward with determination, even when uncertainty attempts to hold you back through persistent self-doubt and hesitation. No one is coming to speak for you. No one is responsible for expressing your thoughts, your dreams, your standards. If you stay silent, the world moves on without your contribution. So here's what you're going to do. The next time you feel the urge to hold back, you will speak. The next time your heart beats faster, you will stay steady. The next time doubt whispers, you will override it with action. Confidence is built in moments of decision. Decide that your voice matters. Decide that your presence counts. Decide that fear will not dictate your expression. Stand taller, speak clearer, slow down, own your words, and from this moment forward, refuse to shrink, open your mouth, step into the room, and speak like you belong there.